Xi Jinping's latest internal speech spreads widely, content shocking, focuses on two key issues. Dongting Lake Dam collapse, CCP bans external reports, 2,000 feared dead. Knife attacks in Hebei and Sichuan, mainland China sees 40 stabbing incidents in 2 months. Experts, CCP strategic metal reserves comparable to pre-World War II Germany. Analysis, why does corruption increase despite anti-corruption efforts in the CCP system? It's all covered in today's China Truths. Xi Jinping's latest internal speech spreads widely, content shocking, focuses on two key issues. Amid preparations for the Chinese Communist Party to convene the 20th plenum of the Third Central Committee from the 15th to the 18th of this month, a document has recently circulated that is believed to be an internal speech by CCP leader Xi Jinping, containing alarming mentions of a civil war. In detail, it is reported that Xi Jinping delivered an internal speech 2 weeks ago at the Political Work Conference of the Central Military Commission in Yan'an, Shaanxi Province. In his address, Xi sternly warned the entire party, "Today, we gather in Yan'an to conduct a military meeting because we are gearing up for a civil war, and everyone must acknowledge that we are amidst a severe economic and political crisis. The war has commenced, and if we fail to react militarily, our party and government will face bankruptcy. You have all observed the establishment of the police tax combat centers nationwide. If the joint efforts of the police and tax authorities fail to resolve our economic challenges, we will need to enforce a wartime economy, and if necessary, see active combat, involving the military. The looming storm of widespread personal, bank, and corporate bankruptcies could potentially destabilize our regime." Additionally, Xi commented that the centennial of the military was initially set to be the occasion for taking Taiwan. However, the issue stems from Russia. "I once regarded Putin as a hero, but his conduct in the war has been disappointing. We must consider their ongoing war and its outcomes before we plan any further military operations." In a Radio Free Asia column on July 3, Chen Qiude, executive chairman of the Princeton Society for China Studies, and independent scholar Zhang Jie noted that this internal speech has spread through various independent channels. Though it lacks official verification, it aligns well with Xi Jinping's known political strategies and may very well be a prescient forecast. Chen Qiude and Zhang Jie further contend that this speech confirms information long held by the United States. In March, Admiral Aquilino of the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, in his written testimony to Congress, declared that Beijing's objective continues to be preparing the People's Liberation Army, PLA, for a potential armed takeover of Taiwan by 2027. Moreover, Chen Qiude and Zhang Jie stated that, according to Xi Jinping's remarks, within 3 to 5 years, the CCP is expected to encounter a significant crisis. Xi plans to initiate a civil war, starting with attacking the landlords and redistributing their land and seizing private assets through police tax operations. The subsequent step would involve the military suppression of popular uprisings. Chen Qiude and Zhang Jie emphasized that preparation is crucial, and once the citizens fully understand the Xi regime, a variety of self-protection and self-help plans will likely develop among the populace. Self-media journalist Wen Zhao also discussed this internal speech by Xi Jinping in his program, highlighting two main points: firstly, the initiation of a civil war, and secondly, the implementation of wartime measures. Wen Zhao observed that after each significant CCP meeting, an internal speech often leaks, initially seeming unbelievable but ultimately proving to be predictable. For instance, in 2013, it was revealed that Xi Jinping had declared at the National Propaganda and Ideological Work Conference that the internet could destroy the party and the country, a statement that was initially shocking. However, in September of that same year, the judicial interpretation issued by the two highs, the Supreme People's Court and the Supreme People's Procuratorate, specified that sharing a post more than 500 times could constitute defamation, leading to imprisonment. In retrospect, the claim that Xi Jinping said the internet could destroy the party and the country appears plausible. When mentioned that, based on past experiences, if rumors are detailed and widely referenced, they should be considered as advanced predictions. He finds the internal speech Xi Jinping delivered in Yan'an chilling, as it mentioned a civil war potentially targeting either Xi Jinping's domestic opponents or Taiwan, since Xi views an attack on Taiwan as a civil war. One also commented that although many believe Xi Jinping's purging of the military has reduced its fighting capabilities, drawing on the example of the former Soviet Union, Stalin executed a significant purge of the Soviet military from 1936 to 1938, eliminating 3 of 5 marshals. Nevertheless, with World War II's onset in 1939 and aware that a conflict with Germany was imminent, Stalin promptly deployed troops to eastern Poland right after the purge ended and Germany invaded Poland in 1939. One believes that while Stalin was aware that the purge would impact military effectiveness, he was relentlessly determined. Xi Jinping's approach may be similar to Stalin's, thus, the international community should not presume he has abandoned plans to attack Taiwan merely because he has purged the military. Dongting Lake Dam collapse, CCP bans external reports, 2,000 feared dead. In recent days, unusual floods have occurred sequentially in the southern and central regions of China. On July 6, a breach in the severely impacted Tuanzhou polder embankment on Dongting Lake in Hunan province caused widespread flooding. Roughly 92.5% of the polder was submerged under 5 meters of water, affecting an area of approximately 47 square kilometers. The floodwaters inundated nearly all the villagers' houses. Some villagers, with nowhere else to turn, spent the night on the dike after fleeing their homes. Local authorities have enforced traffic controls within Huarong County and on all exiting roads, restricting movement to only flood control vehicles, and have also prohibited individuals from disseminating information. According to a report from the Beijing Daily, 5,000 people from 6 villages and 1 residential area near the breach were successfully evacuated. Contrary to official reports of 5,000 evacuees from Tuanzhou polder embankment, social media users have disclosed that at least 60,000 individuals from surrounding areas have fled. Initial assessments indicate a minimum of 2,000 deaths. The breach has continued to expand from a few meters to over 200 meters. The Yayang Municipal Public Security Bureau's Traffic Police Detachment in Huarong County has urgently declared, due to flood control needs, temporary traffic restrictions on all roads leading out of the county. Travel is prohibited for all vehicles not involved in flood control, and all through traffic must reroute. However, official Chinese media has yet to report any local casualties or missing individuals. Documents circulating online show that Huarong County officials have forbidden individuals from releasing information. Reports initially suggested that the breach at Dongting Lake was manageable, but in a surprising turn of events, instead of employing rocks or sandbags, the government directed vehicles loaded with sand to the dike to obstruct the floodwater, a strategy ridiculed by netizens as a global first. On July 6, a Mainland article published by Tushio, a major Chinese news platform, by a netizen stated that it is impossible to seal the breach before the water slows. Regardless of the quantity of rocks, sacks, vehicles, or boats used, they cannot effectively stop the breach, resulting in a wasteful loss of these resources. Netizens have expressed that the breach in Huarong is a testament to the bureaucracy having evolved into a completely inept bureaucratic mess, utterly failing in killing the people of Hunan and destroying this country. Meanwhile in Pingjiang County, Yayang, Hunan Province, intense rainfall and unplanned reservoir discharges triggered a severe flood. The rapid rise in water levels, surpassing 5 meters and nearing traffic light heights, caught many residents unprepared, leading to an unknown number of casualties and at least 30,000 people reported missing. Local merchants disclosed that on July 1, 87 reservoirs were simultaneously discharged without public notification, sweeping away numerous individuals, including a couple who vanished while securing their store. Subsequent reports suggest that authorities suppressed this information, prompting affected residents to plan a petition trip to Beijing. Despite the receding waters by July 4, the county's streets remained mired in mud and debris. Knife attacks in Hebei and Sichuan, mainland China sees 40 stabbing incidents in 2 months. On July 4, a significant stabbing incident occurred in Liaoning province, resulting in at least 3 fatalities and 1 injury. The next day, July 5, Multiple videos surfaced online depicting a street stabbing at Nanmen in Jianyang City, Sichuan Province, where two elderly women sustained injuries. One of these women was severely injured. According to local police in Jianyang, a 54-year-old male suspect named Jiang Momu was arrested for allegedly committing the assault over a minor dispute. Online rumors suggest that the suspect, enraged by his girlfriend's refusal to quit sex work despite his warnings, went out seeking her with a knife. Unable to find her, he allegedly attacked two women he believed were soliciting clients on her behalf in a fit of rage. While this narrative is circulating online, it remains unverified at this time. Additionally, on July 4, several videos appeared showing two men armed with weapons fighting in the streets of Zanhuang County, Shijiazhuang, Hebei. Another knife attack took place on the same day in the Sunshine Garden community in Tieshi District, Shenyang, Liaoning Province, where local police reported 3 deaths and 1 injury. From social media reports, netizens have compiled data indicating that from May 7 to July 4, there have been over 40 knife attacks resulting in at least 55 deaths and 48 injuries. Additionally, incidents of shootings and other types of homicides have occurred. The Chinese Communist Party's efforts to stabilize public opinion mean that only a few cases receive official reports, while others are left unreported by mainstream media, with only videos and photos shared on social media. It is estimated by netizens that the actual number of violent incidents could be significantly higher. Decades of CCP brainwashing, instilling hatred, have saturated society with hostility. In recent years, China's economic downturn and increased pressures on people's livelihoods have made it easier to spark this hostility. Analysis: why does corruption increase despite anti-corruption efforts in the CCP system? Since the 18th National Congress of the Chinese Communist Party in 2012, there has been a consistent pattern of corrupt officials being taken down annually. A recent South China Morning Post report highlighted that 36 CCP senior officials were imprisoned in the first half of this year, setting a historical record. For comparison, 22 people were investigated during the same period last year. Among these 36 individuals, 8 held positions in central and state agencies, including former Minister of Agriculture and Rural Affairs Tang Renjian and former Minister of Justice Tang Yijuan. Additionally, 20 local officials were detained, including former CCP Secretary of Tibet Wu Wingjie, Vice Governor of Gansu Yang Zixing, and Vice Governor of Yunnan Li Shisong. Commenting on this situation, Wu Xiaoping, a Chinese human rights lawyer in the U.S., said, "Why is corruption so rampant and widespread in Communist China? Corrupt officials are continually arrested in groups, one after another. Clearly, this issue transcends individual desires and stems directly from the systemic nature of the CCP." He elaborated, "The ascent to power of these officials does not stem from public elections. Their power remains unchecked and uncontrolled. Whether embezzled funds are subject to legal penalties does not depend on public oversight but on whether their higher-ups choose to use them as scapegoats." At the 20th National Congress in 2022, the CCP disclosed that over the past decade, nearly 5 million officials and party members at all levels underwent anti-corruption investigations, with 553 central management level officials prosecuted. The central management level typically refers to positions of vice ministerial level or higher. Moreover, the amounts involved in corruption cases of deposed officials are escalating. Last year, 21 corrupt officials embezzled over 100 million yuan each, approximately $13.8 million. In the first half of this year, CCP courts tried 16 officials for embezzling more than 100 million yuan each. Recently, key figures personally promoted by CCP leader Xi Jinping have also been disgraced, including former Minister of National Defense Wei Fenghe and Li Shangfu. Melbourne-based Ruan Jia, who edits the Tiananmen Times newspaper, stated, "The autocratic and dictatorial system of the CCP necessarily grants privileges to certain individuals so they will loyally serve. Non-compliance is met with punishment through accusations of corruption and embezzlement, an inevitable aspect of such a regime." The Wall Street Journal recently analyzed that leveraging the anti-corruption campaign to consolidate power is a well-established tactic by Chinese Communist Party rulers. Ruan Jia also mentioned, recently, the CCP has been gearing up for the third plenary session. The party leader is grappling with challenges on both domestic and international fronts, compelling him to make an example of certain individuals to kill the chicken to scare the monkeys. He's using the pretense of fighting corruption to target those who are unhappy with his leadership, effectively silencing reckless criticism. For the CCP, corruption is an unavoidable reality, a ceaseless issue that serves merely as an instrument in their power struggles. For the audiences who may not know, the term "kill the chicken to scare the monkeys" is a Chinese idiom used to describe making an example out of someone in order to threaten others into compliance. Another current affairs commentator, Zhong Yuan, told the Epoch Times that the increasing downfall of high-ranking officials and the ongoing collapse of the upper power structures are indicative of the CCP's approaching decline and eventual downfall. Experts: CCP strategic metal reserves comparable to pre-World War II Germany. China continues to assert significant control over the processing and refining of critical minerals, as evidenced by their leading global position in the copper and cobalt sectors. According to recent data from the United States Geological Survey, USGS, China was responsible for 44% of global copper ore processing and refining last year. Additionally, Reuters reported robust activity in copper imports, with May seeing a 17.4% increase from April and 15.8% higher than the previous year. In contrast to the booming copper industry, China's real estate sector has faced significant challenges, including overcapacity and halted infrastructure projects, suggesting an uncertain domestic demand outlook. Despite this, the copper mining industry in China is rapidly expanding. On June 29, the Chinese Communist Party introduced the Rare Earths Management Regulations, declaring rare earth resources as state-owned, which are critical for high-tech industries including batteries and electronics. This regulatory change highlights China's strategic approach to controlling essential minerals. Andrew Gulley, an economist and/or expert at the USGS, noted that the CCP controlled 44% of the global cobalt mining capacity in 2022 and plans to increase this to 57% in 2023. This indicates an aggressive strategy to stockpile critical resources, further evidenced by the 50-fold increase in cobalt ore purchases by the CCP's National Strategic Reserves Department from 2014 to 2024. Voice of America reports that the CCP's control over cobalt processing and refining has led to price wars intended to deter other nations from developing their cobalt production capabilities. This is part of a broader strategy to monopolize the global supply of raw materials, an approach that has prompted increased vigilance from the U.S. since 2018. Su Ziyun, the director of the Strategic and Resources Institute at the Taiwan National Defense Security Research Institute, explained that the CCP's dual objectives include securing substantial quantities of copper for military use and strategic reserves, crucial in wartime scenarios. Cobalt, primarily used in lithium-cobalt batteries, aligns with China's new economic policy initiatives. Amid these developments, concerns about China's strategic intentions have intensified. Gregory D. Wisher, founder of De Grazia Minerals, during a hearing by the U.S.-China Economic and Security Review Commission, USCC, on June 13, compared the CCP's management of strategic metals like copper and cobalt to Germany's economic strategy before World War II. He noted that Germany's metal processing capabilities far surpassed its domestic production of related resources, a pattern that is also evident in China today. Wisher suggested that the volume of ore processed and refined by the CCP significantly exceeding domestic ore output might indicate preparations by the CCP for potential military scenarios, including a possible invasion of Taiwan. An assistant researcher at the Taiwan National Defense Security Research Institute acknowledged the possibility that China is preparing for an invasion of Taiwan. However, the researcher suggested that China might also be considering broader conflicts, potentially with the US or Japan, or even a global conflict. This person emphasized that the geopolitical confrontation between the US and China is increasingly centered around rare earths. Since neither country controls all rare earth production, their international diplomacy and foreign policies are heavily dependent on cooperation from other rare earth producing nations, potentially leading to significant shifts in international politics. Su Ziyun mentioned that the CCP aims to monopolize the global supply of these strategic resources, in addition to weaponizing them. Since 2018, the U.S. has heightened its vigilance regarding the CCP's control over these rare earths and precious metals, leading to strategies for de-risking the supply chain. Despite these measures, the CCP's influence over these minerals remains significant but has seen some reduction. In response to these strategies, and the strategic use of rare earths by the CCP as a geopolitical tool, international alertness has increased. The US, Japan, and Europe are all striving to develop diversified supply chains. Reflecting this urgency, the U.S. House of Representatives Special Committee on Strategic Competition with the Chinese Communist Party announced the creation of a bipartisan task force on June 18 to counter the CCP's dominance over critical mineral supply chains. Similarly, Canada and Australia have intensified their scrutiny of Chinese investments in overseas mineral enterprises. Last August, the CCP announced export restrictions on gallium and cadmium, and later in the year imposed further export controls on graphite and other rare earth elements and mineral processing equipment, underscoring its aggressive stance on controlling these critical resources. Don't forget to leave a comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths.